What's up guys, my name is Ace, and today I wanted to have a discussion about all of the original Modern Warfare 2 from 2009 maps coming into Modern Warfare 3, and whether or not I feel they would play well these days with modern mechanics. And also, I just wanted to ask the question, should they stay 100% true to the original design of these maps? Should they make some minor adjustments, or should they make some major adjustments to these? And it looks like we can probably rule out that third option with massive changes. Based on the reveal blog post for Modern Warfare 3, they did mention that these maps will be modernized both graphically and with meticulous attention given to the authenticity and aspects of the maps that made them so popular. So based on this, massive changes definitely seem unlikely. However, this doesn't really rule out some minor adjustments being made to these maps, because while they mentioned authenticity, they just said aspects of the maps that made them so popular, so that does leave the door open for some adjustments. Additionally, in a different part of that blog post, they mentioned that the maps would be modernized with new modes and gameplay features, and to me, that suggests we may see some minor changes to account for some new gameplay mechanics. And there's one big thing in particular that's almost definitely going to be changing with these maps, and that is doors. These have been rumored to be returning in Modern Warfare 3, and it just seems really likely that they will be returning. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of doors in Call of Duty multiplayer. I got used to them, it's been in several Call of Duty games at this point, and I can live with them, but I do prefer when we don't have doors present. However, outside of doors, I'm wondering if they're going to be making any other changes to these maps, and whether or not that would be a good thing. If they decide to stay 100% true to these original maps, one concern that I have is with spawn design. A bad spawn system can really ruin even a great map, so I'm hoping they're taking a whole lot of care when it comes to spawn design so that we do have a little bit of that original feel of these maps. I definitely don't want to see that squad spawn style system where there's very little discernible flow and essentially no map control present. Also, with the size of the original Modern Warfare 2 maps, if they spread out spawns like that, if they have spawns constantly moving around the map all over the place, I fear that would significantly harm the pacing of these maps as well. One of the big reasons even the larger maps in Modern Warfare 2 still had a tendency to play in a fast-paced fashion, if that's what you were looking for, is due to the fact that spawns wouldn't be flipping and moving all over the map, and therefore if you want more action, you simply push further toward the enemy's spawn, and you're going to find more action because as you kill players, they'll continue spawning on that side of the map, and it's a risk-reward scenario where there's more kills to be had, but there's also more people that can potentially kill you if you push in too far to the enemy spawn. Now thankfully, like I've mentioned in a previous video, it looks like the devs are at least hinting at no squad spawns being present in this, and it's more likely they're going to be leaning toward that traditional spawn design. But of course, when it comes to something like this, only time will tell. As for the next concern I have relating to this issue of having these original maps, this is, how are many of the modern gameplay mechanics going to work out when playing on these maps? It's obviously going to have an effect on how things play, and therefore would it make sense to make some adjustments to these maps to account for these things? And some of the big ones that come to mind here are guns are generally easier to control outside of the ACR from Modern Warfare 2. These days, guns are generally easier to control because they have predictable and controllable recoil patterns. Additionally, for controller players out there, we have a significant increase to our aim assist ranges. Back in the original Modern Warfare 2, you wouldn't even get aim assist beyond something like 30 meters at all. Like, there's no aim assist, whereas now we get 200 meters of aim assist. So I think that's definitely going to have an impact on especially some of these larger maps like Wasteland, for instance. But at the same time, it looks like we're going to be having a very noticeably longer time to kill than the original Modern Warfare 2, especially when you factor in the fact that we probably won't be having stopping power in this game. So I don't think we're going to have full auto assault rifles killing in literally 2 bullets in Modern Warfare 3. Also, tac sprint, that didn't exist back in the original Modern Warfare 2, and as a result, I suspect we'll be able to get around these maps noticeably faster in Modern Warfare 3 compared to Modern Warfare 2, so I'm curious to see how that ends up affecting how these maps play. But then there's also little things like these days with modern Call of Duty games, our mantle height is significantly higher than it was back in the original Modern Warfare 2. Back then, you could only really mantle things that were kind of like waist high. Now, in recent Call of Duty games at least, you can mantle to things that are above your head in many cases. So is that going to carry through with these maps? Is that going to open up some new jump spots that didn't exist in the original maps? These are just a few of the questions that pop up when we're talking about just bringing back all of these maps into the game. Additionally, there's one big mechanic that I really don't know how they're going to integrate with these maps properly, and this is swimming. Based on the fact that we have seen swimming in the campaign already, and we have leaked perks for multiplayer that do include swimming in them, it's very likely that the swimming mechanic will be existing in Modern Warfare 3, but none of these original maps were built with swimming in mind, and unless they make some noticeable changes to the maps, there's really only one map I can think of where swimming may make some sense, and this is Subbase. Now, perhaps they could make some adjustments to something like Rundown, for instance. Perhaps they could just flood this area here. Maybe that would be one way that they could integrate swimming, and honestly, that may actually make for some interesting gameplay. But really, outside of that, I'm having a hard time picturing swimming being present on any of the other maps in the game. But then again, when you think to this current Call of Duty game, at launch, there was really only one map that properly utilized swimming to begin with. That was Zarqwa Hydroelectric. So maybe it's just going to be treated the same way here, where swimming just isn't going to be a prevalent multiplayer mechanic. So there we go. Those are just a few thoughts that I've had regarding these original maps and how they may end up playing out with modern mechanics in Modern Warfare 3. As for my thoughts on this and whether or not I feel they should stay 100% true to these map designs or if they should make some minor adjustments to them, on one hand, I do worry that any changes they make to these maps would be disappointing for many of us that played the original Modern Warfare 2 a ton and really want that nostalgia. We really want that authentic experience on these maps. And also, whenever you make changes, there's a risk that those changes won't pan out well and the map would actually be better off without the changes present. Most of these original Modern Warfare 2 maps have already proven themselves to be excellent as is, so I could definitely see some people being concerned that any changes may end up ruining these maps. On the other hand though, at this point, it's very likely that the majority of COD's current player base didn't play the original Modern Warfare 2. They've never experienced these maps before, unless they've played some remastered version of some of these maps in previous Call of Duty games. And perhaps the changes to gameplay mechanics, like I've mentioned before, as well as even evolved player expectations over time since the original Modern Warfare 2, perhaps these do warrant some minor changes to these maps. Maybe they will require a couple adjustments here or there in order to account for modern gameplay design and expectations. At the end of the day, I definitely don't want to see any big changes to any of the maps. I'd still like that nostalgic feeling. I'd like these maps to play at least somewhat like they did back in the day. But at the same time, I'm not opposed to some small changes being made to account for modern gameplay mechanics, as long as those changes are really made with purpose behind them. I don't want to see change for the sake of change. I don't want to see them just try to reinvent things just to be different with these maps. And it seems like they're not going to be going that route. Again, based on what they mentioned in the blog post, they do want to stay true to what made these maps great to begin with. But I have to say, my biggest concern right now is the spawn design. So we'll just have to wait to see how that ends up playing out. And that is where I want to hear from you guys in those comments down below. First up, I am really curious to know how many of you guys didn't play the original Modern Warfare 2, so at least most of these maps are going to be brand new to you. And second, do you want to see any adjustments made to these maps, or do you think they should stay 100% true to the original design? Just let me know all of those thoughts down below. If you enjoyed the video, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.